Welcome to She Stitchin'. This is Melanie. I'd like to thank you today for joining me to learn this very cool stitch, which I call post waves. I'm calling it that because we are going to be using front post double crochet stitches and back post double crochet stitches to create this cool ripple or wave effect. Normally in crochet, the ripple and wave effects that we've seen normally go horizontally, but we're going to be making them vertically, so it is a little bit different. This is a really common look in knitting, where we use cables, or they call them cables in knitting. So as you can see though, it is possible with crochet. This video is part of our series, which I call Just Another Crochet Along, where I am teaching 48 different stitches, where they can all be put together for a sample blanket. So even if you're not making the blanket with us today though, this is a great stitch to learn, and you can use a lot of different, you can make it into a lot of different sizes. If you want to make this stitch in a different size, you're going to need to have a multiple of 4 plus 5. Each of these little waves actually takes up 4 chain stitches, so you can think of it as a column of 4, and this will bounce back and forth between like 4 columns. If you've never done post stitches before, I do have a different video where I teach just how to do post stitches in a straight line. So if you've never tried post stitches before, that's a great video just to learn how to do that, and it makes a very simple pattern, and it will make you more familiar with those stitches before you start to try and manipulate them to make different shapes, okay? So the reason that this stitch came about is because there is kind of a stitch that I've seen around the internet a few times, but I've had a hard time pinning it down. I've seen it referred to as a couple different names in English, but it is it's like a wheat field. Sometimes it's called like different names, all kind of revolving around wheat. But there is other stitches called wheat, so I'm just going to be calling this our wheat field stitch. And I really wanted to include this in the sample blanket, but the pattern was a little bit hard to write because there are a lot of different things going on. And it was a little bit hard to follow for the people that test out the patterns for me. So what I did was I broke that down into 2 different steps. So first we're going to be learning how to make the cables curve. And then next week we will be learning how to make the puff stitches. And then we will put those 2 together, those 2 different concepts together to make the final product, which is kind of like the finale of our sample blanket, which is the wheat stitch. I'm sorry, my son is having too much fun in the background. So as you can see, I do have one of my samples here in 2 colors. If you're interested in learning how to do this in 2 colors, I do recommend first being comfortable with the pattern. So when I actually did this pattern first, or this sample first, all in 1 color, and then I went back and did the second color. And I really do recommend that, just because changing colors and manipulating the post stitches is a little bit hard. So I'm going to be publishing, after this video, I will be publishing a video on how to do the 2 colors. And then you can get, I don't know, these colors aren't great, but you can get a more vibrant effect like these 2 here. But today we will be making this sample all in 1 color. So this sample here is in Red Heart Super Saver in the ombre line. And this is the scuba color. And then the sample I have here in the background is what I'm using for my crochet along, and it's just the Caron 1 pounds. And this is the soft gray and the medium gray. And this off-white, which I'm using today for the tutorial, is also Caron 1 pound in the off-white color. So if you're maintaining the gauge for our crochet along, what you're going to want, the hook that you're going to want to use is the H, the 5.00 millimeter hook, just to make sure that all of our squares will match together at the end. And in order to do this pattern, if you want to do it on your own in a different size, I'm not sure if I said this already, but you're going to want to have a starting chain of a multiple of 4 plus 5. So this takes 4 stitches. So you want to, it's going to go in 4, and then we have 2 stitches on the outside and plus 3 for a turning chain. So that's where the 4 plus 5 comes in. So if you're doing the crochet along with me and you want to work it up in this size, I will meet you at the end of a starting chain, and I'll put the numbers here on the screen, and I'll meet you at the end of that chain in just a minute. So before we get started, I just wanted to mention a few different things. First of all, this is a one-sided stitch. So you can see the back is not that cool, while the front is super awesome. So that's what the back in the two colors looks like. In the back in the single color, it just kind of looks like this. So it's not hideous, it's just not awesome. And then secondly, I wanted to say that what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be creating these waves, and each wave is going to take up four chain spaces. So this ripple here is always going to stay in the same 4 stitches. So for us, I have the starting chain of 32, and then what we're going to do is we're going to skip the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to do double crochet into that 4th stitch. So this is the American term for the double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull the loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and that's what we're going to do the whole first row. So we're going to have 29 double crochet, and then we're going to count the turning stitch, the turning chain also as a stitch. So the first row should have 30 stitches, and I will meet you at the end of that stitch. So just go ahead and double crochet all the way across, and I'll meet you at the end to start row 2. All right, so here we have our first row all completed. And now the first stitch of row 2 is going to be a chainless standing double crochet. This is something that I learned from Tamara at Moogly. So if you're having trouble with this, you can check out her tutorial, or you can just replace it with a chain 3. And I'll put a link to the tutorial in the video description. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our yarn to the height of a double crochet, and then I'm going to use my pointer finger to hold tension. And then I'm going to wrap it around, and I'm going to insert under both of the V's for that first or the last stitch from the row below. So I'm holding that tension, I'm going to insert my hook, and then I'm going to yarn over, keep holding the tension, yarn over, then pull the loop through, and then it kind of looks like we just have the 3 on the hook. And I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, I can let go of that tension, and then yarn over, pull through the last 2. So I've done this stitch in most of our videos, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. So you can just replace that with a chain 3 if you're not comfortable. And then the next 2 stitches are just going to be 1 for each thing, and we're just going to do double crochets. So now we have 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. And now what we're going to do is the base of the ripple. So we're going to do 4 front post double crochets. So for the post stitches, what we're going to want to do is this part of the stitch is considered the post. It's like the tree trunk, or the body of the stitch. Normally we go into the V's on the top, or the loops on the top that look like a V, but now we're going to go all the way around that stitch. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, insert your hook behind from this side, and then bring it out on the other side of the stitch. That's what it looks like from the back. So you can see I'm going all the way around there. And then yarn over and pull loop up, and you're just going to finish this like a normal double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's our first post stitch. Let's go ahead and do 3 more. So yarn over, insert your hook all the way around that post, yarn over, pull loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So like I said, I think you should try to be comfortable with these stitches before you start this pattern, but hopefully I will break it down slow enough so that you can understand. My kids are playing in the background. I'm sorry if you can hear them. And here's our 4th post stitch. So we're going to insert behind, yarn over, pull loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So there we have, you can see that that is starting to come forward. So it's starting to get that 3D effect that we want. There we go. And we're always going to ignore these stitches back here. We're not going to go into those loops. So we're going to ignore all 4 of those. Oh, I got my yarn a little tangled up here. And now we're going to do 4 normal double crochet. So make sure you don't go into that stitch that you just looped around, okay? So skip this back V here and go into the next one. And we're going to do 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, sorry. So now we have already finished all the way to here on this square. And we're going to repeat that pattern now. So we're going to do 4 more, we're up here actually on the second row. We're going to do 4 more front posts, 4 more regular double crochet, and then 4 more front post, 4 more regular double crochet. So go ahead and work that through the end, and I will meet you when we have 3 stitches left. Okay, so now what we have is, what you should have now is your 4 front post double crochet, 4 regular, 4 front post, 4 regular, 4 front post, 4 regular. And then at the end, we're going to finish off this last little wave. We're going to do 2 front post double crochets. So 1 and 2. And then we're going to want to make sure that we crochet into that turning chain that we have here on the end, and we're just going to do a regular double crochet into the last stitch. So 1, 2, 3. I'm counting up the chains, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go through the front and the back loop of that chain, yarn over, and do my double crochet. So there we have completed row 1. So each of these is going to eventually split the 4 sections. This is going to end up being 2 of the ripples, and then we'll have 1 ripple on its own down here. So let me, before we go again, I'm just going to kind of highlight this. So here on the edge, we have this 1 cable that's always going to be taking up 4 stitches. So here we are, we've done row 1 and row 2, and we're going to start taking this last cable, we're going to start shifting it to the inside here, okay? So also the way that I have this pattern constructed is we're always going to have a little bit of a border with just a regular double crochet or single chain standing double crochet on the side. So that's how we're going to keep that nice border, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn and do that chainless standing double crochet. So we're always going to start our rows with that. So we're going to pull up to the height of a double crochet, wrap it around, insert through the front and the back loop, yarn over, pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through the last 2. So we're going to start trying to shift that ripple back this way. So the first stitch we're going to do, it's going to be a double crochet into this second stitch here, okay? And we're going to end up using the stitch twice. So we're going to put the double crochet there. So now we have 2 stitches. And now what we're going to do, as you can see, we're on the back. This is the back of our work, the wrong side or the back side. So all of the stitches that we're going to do for this row are going to end up being back post stitches. So what we're going to want to do is I'm going to kind of turn this around to show you. Each post stitch is always going to have another post stitch on top of it. It might not always be like this was the second stitch from the end. So it might not always be the same number, because now we're going to put the 3rd stitch on there instead of the 2nd stitch, but it will always have a post stitch on it, because we're going to want to keep that continuous line going up. So what we're going to do is yarn over, and then we're going to do a back post double crochet onto that 2nd stitch, okay? So we're going to, I'll show you now, we're going to insert on this side of the stitch, so you can see I'm kind of turning it around. We're going to insert through there and come out the other side of that post, and then yarn over, pull, loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you do want to make sure not to do that double crochet too tight, otherwise your work is going to start to curl inward. Okay, but now you can see we've pulled this post and we're going to start to curve it in towards the inside. Okay, so now this, it's kind of hard to see in the one color, but this set of little cables here is going to start going toward the middle of the stitch, okay? And then for this next one, we're going to go into that post stitch here. We're going to make sure we pick that one up. So insert your hook around the post, yarn over, pull, loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now you can see we're starting to get that cable to turn. So now what we're going to do is we're going to skip, so you can see from the back here, this is one of our regular double crochets, and we're going to skip that stitch in order to really pull it over. So now you've done 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and we're going to make it look like we're going to skip this one here so that we're also over 4 stitches, okay? So 1, 2, 3, before. So we're going to make sure that you skip that one, and we're going to do a double crochet here. Okay, so make sure that you're skipping the one stitch there so that we can start to pull that cable over so that it starts to make the curve. Okay, and then we're also going to do another double crochet here. So we'll have 2 double crochets in a row. All right, there you go. And now we're gonna start on this part here. So now we just did these 2 double crochets, and now we're gonna start going, we're gonna reach over and get those next cables, the next set of cables, okay? So we're gonna skip this stitch, and we're gonna go ahead down here and grab that cable, okay? So we're gonna back post stitch, so insert your hook, and come out the other side of the post, then yarn over, pull loop up, pull through 2, pull through 2, okay? And then we're going to do the same thing onto that next cable there. Yarn over, insert through around the post, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. There you go. So now you can see we're starting to pull this cable that way. So these cables are eventually going to end up touching. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stick in these, we're going to go in the background to your colors. We're going to stick in 2 double crochets into the middle here. So make sure that you're going, so you can see here we have this 4 post stitches from the last row, and we're going to put 2 double crochets into the middle of this. So we're going to go right here and right here. All right, so insert your hook. So you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And we're going to go into the middle too. So insert your hook, yarn over, and do a double crochet. So that is technically the same stitches that we were just, that same stitch that we were just in. And we're going to put these 2 double crochets in here to start pushing these 2 cables apart. Okay. So these next 2 stitches, we're going to be grabbing these 2 cables and pulling them away from the next 2. So we're going to yarn over, and we're going to grab that second cable, this cable here. So we already used these 2 cables, and now we're going to use these 2. So grab this one and do a front post or a back post. So yarn over, pull loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then do the same thing on the next one, another back post. So all the way around the post. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so now we have done 6 post stitches so far for this row. Okay, so right now we're pushing these 2 ripples apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip this stitch here so that we can really start to pull that ripple this way. Okay, and we're going to do 2 double crochet. So now you can see here we have our 4 regular double crochet. We're going to be skipping these 2 stitches, and we're going to put 2 double crochets in the middle there. So okay, so we're going to skip 1 double crochet, and then we're going to go into the next 2 with a regular double crochet. So 1 and 2, and now we're going to start pulling these cables this way. Okay, so we're going to skip this one, and we're going to do a cable stitch around the first from the next set. Okay, so a back, sorry, I did that a little fast. So we're going to insert all the way around the post, yarn over, pull the loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and then we're going to want to make sure to get that next cable as well. Sorry, let me just pull a little bit of yarn slack out here. So yarn over, insert all the way around the post, yarn over, pull the loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and now just to remember where we are, we're going to want to start pushing these cables apart just like we did here. So we're going to push 2 double crochets into these middle stitches here. So you can see these are the 4 post stitches. We're not going to do anything here. We're going to do 2 double crochet into the middle 2 stitches. One and 2. Okay, and now we're going to be pushing these cables apart from each other. So I'm going to work backwards and start to pull it this way. So I'm going to do a post stitch here. So I'm going to insert from this side, yarn over, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. So I just kind of have this piece, it's going to get folded and stuff a little bit so that you can get to the post stitches that you want. And then I'm going to do another post stitch here. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop up, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. All right, so there you can see we're starting to shift those open. We're getting that kind of the V thing going. So we're creating that space in between. All right, and now we're going to skip the next stitch. So we're at the same situation again where we have the 4 double crochets from before. We're going to skip this one and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the middle there, okay? So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. So we're just repeating what we did before. And now we're going to start to bring these 2 cables, we're going to start curving them this way. So we're going to skip this next stitch and then start on this cables here. So we're going to yarn over, insert this way around the post, yarn over, pull the loop up, pull through 2, pull through 2. Make sure to keep those post stitches loose so that your piece doesn't start to curl. And then we're going to do a post stitch on the next stitch also, like we did before. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull loop through, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, and now it's almost like we're doing everything twice here. So now we have this next set of 4 post stitches. We're skipping this one here and we're going to put 2 double crochet into the middle section. So 2 double crochet. There we go. And then we want to make sure not to skip these post stitches, so we're going to go back and put front post double crochet around these 2 cables. So you notice that when I'm going backwards, I'm going to reach in the yarn this way, or reach my hook in that way. So we're going to insert all the way around the post, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. We're going to do that again. So because I'm pulling the cable this way, I like to insert my hook from this side. Yarn over, pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2. There we go. So we have 3 stitches left. But normally this would be a skip we stitch, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to skip that again, and we're going to end the row with 2 double crochets. So insert here the second. So we're skipping this. So this is one of our cable skip stitches. This is the stitch we're skipping, and we're going into the next one with just a regular double crochet. And then at the end of our row, we're always going to end with a double crochet for this pattern. So we're going to insert that into the top of my chainless standing double crochet from before. There we go. There we go. So we finished row 3. You guys, these are the first couple rows of this, are the first, well, row 1 and row 2 are pretty easy, but then the next couple rows, this row that we just completed and then the next row are going to be a little bit difficult just because we're creating that shift, okay? So far we've moved those cables apart 1 double crochet, and now we're going to move them apart the rest of the way. So we're going to start this off with a chainless standing double crochet. So we pull up to the height of a double crochet, pull that tension, wrap it around through the front and the back loop, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, let go of the tension, and pull through 2. So you can just replace that with the chain 3 if you're uncomfortable doing that. So since we're trying to, so now we're back on the front side of the work, and we're going to start to try, we're going to pull those cables apart one more thing, and finish shifting from one column all the way 2 stitches over to the next column. So like I said in the beginning, each of our cables are always going to be on 4 stitches. How can I hold this? So we're always going to be moving we're staying the same. So we moved over one stitch in the last row, and now we're going to move over another stitch, and we'll be on the other edge of the 4 stitches, the 4 chain spaces that each is going to hold up. If you think of this as columns, is how I'm trying to explain it. All right, so we did the chain standing double crochet, and then we're going to skip this stitch so that we really pull this cable over. Okay, so we're going to yarn over and wrap around the front of the post. Sorry, my kids are playing with a very loud car in the background. And then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There you go. And then we're going to do the same thing on the next cable. So insert all the way around the cable, yarn over, pull through 2, and then the last 2. Okay, so here in the middle you can see our 2 double crochets. And we're gonna actually go into that same stitch that we just finished, and we're gonna make it so that there's gonna be 4 double crochets here in the middle, so that the ripple gets pushed all the way apart, so that the cables get pushed all the way apart. Okay, so yarn over, and we're gonna go into the back, the front and the back loop of that stitch that we just used. So we already used the cable here, and then we're also going to be using the front and the top loop for a double crochet, and then we'll do 3 more double crochets. So now we're back to the point where we will have 4 post stitches and then 4 regular stitches. There we go. So we have our 4 double crochets, starting to push apart those cables. This is widening them out all the way. And then we're going to, we don't want to skip over this cable. We just crocheted into the top of it, but we want to make sure we don't skip it. And we're going to keep pulling that apart. So we're going to do another front post double crochet on these 2 cables now. So insert your hook and do 2 front post double crochets all the way around. There we go. So now we've got that all the way widened out. So this row is, once you get past the outsides, we're going to be doing 4 double crochets, then 4 front posts. So in this row, we're going to be skipping these 2 double crochets, and we're going to jump all the way to these post stitches. So we're going to skip all the way over here and do a front post stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So now it's going to be like we're pinching these cables back together, or well, they're meeting for the first time now. So make sure you're keeping these nice and loose so that it doesn't start to curve too much. So all the way around front to back, yarn over, pull through 2. There we go. We're going to continue across here with 4 more regular double crochets. So we're going to go back into the top of that stitch that we just used. So we just put a post stitch on here, and we're going to use the back, the V here, on that same stitch for a double crochet. And then 3 more. And then we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to start our 4 front posts, and we're going to continue to push apart the ripples here, just like this. So 2 front posts. So we already used this stitch, but we're going to go ahead and use it again on around the post. So 2 front posts here. Make sure to keep those post stitches long so they don't pull down the work. And then we're going to skip these 2 stitches and do 2 more front post stitches on the cable over here, just like we did at this point. So right now we're going to be pinching these 2 ripples together, or these 2 cables are going to meet over here. There we go. And then we're going to do 4 double crochet again. And we're going to do that into the same stitch that we just used. So we just used the post, and we're going to use the back and the front loop up on top of there. So this is a pretty easy row. 4 post stitches, 4 regular stitches. All right. And then we're going to use these post stitches again. I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit fast. It's just a longer pattern today, but you can always push pause and come back, or you can use the speed feature on YouTube, which allows you to slow down how fast I talk by touching those 3 dots in the corner and changing my speed. A new feature that I just learned about. Okay, so we had 2 front posts and we're going to do 2 more. So we're going to skip over these 2 double crochets and we're going to close up this arch looking thing here with 2 front post double crochets all the way reaching across here. 1 and 2. And now we're going to place a double crochet in the back of the stitch that we just used. So we just used this post and we're going to use the front and back V there. 2, 3, oops, and we end with 3 double crochets on the end. There we go. So every row in this pattern you should have 30 stitches at the end. So we can go ahead and double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Now it does get a little bit of a ripple, but when you, as you add on to this pattern, it will go out straight. Especially once we start to connect all of our squares together, it'll straighten itself right out. It just kind of wants to rib together a little bit. All right, so that was 1, 2, 3. So let's go ahead and do row 4. We're going to turn our work and do that chainless standing double crochet or chain 3, whatever you're comfortable with. So go ahead and pull that loop up, hold on tight, wrap it around, insert through the front and the back V, yarn over, pull loop through, then yarn over, pull through 2, let go of the tension, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, now this time we're going to be a very easy row. So these are going to be all back posts, and we're going to start off with 2 double crochets here on the edge because this ripple is far away, and then we're just going to go straight across. We're going to do 4 back posts here, 4 double crochets here, 4 back posts, 4 double crochets, 4 back posts through the end. So it's a very easy row. So we're going to yarn over. I'll do this repetition with you one time. Yarn over, pull the loop up, pull through 2, pull through 2. So we'll do that 4 times. 2. Sorry, let me pull a little slack out. 3. And then 4. So this is like my easiest row because, or my favorite row because it's the easiest. And then we just do 4 double crochets on top of these 4 regular crochets. So this row all the way across, you're going to do regular crochets on top of the regular ones and then back posts on all of the post stitches. All right, so go ahead and finish out this row and I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, so I went ahead and finished that, and now we just have 3 stitches left at the end of the row, so I'll go ahead and do those with you. And you can see we've got 2 post stitches here, so we're going to do back post stitches again. So we're going to have 2 back post stitches, 1 back, another one, and then the end we're going to do another double crochet into that last stitch, because remember this pattern is always going to end with a regular double crochet on the end and start with that chainless standing double crochet. There we go. So now you've finished off this row. So now what's happening with our ripples is they're starting to come together. And now the next row is going to be, we're right here. The next row is also going to be another easy row. And it's just going to give those rows a few more, a little bit more space to really straighten out before they start to curve back in the other direction. Okay, so this is going to be another really easy row. So we're going to do post stitches on top of post stitches and standard stitches on top of the standard stitches. So we'll start with the chainless standing double crochet. So pull it up to the height of a double crochet, loop it around, insert through the front and the back hook or loops, yarn over, pull, loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, and like I said before, we're just going to do post stitches on top of post stitches and regular stitches on top of regular. So these first two are post stitches. So we'll do 2 post stitches, 2 front posts, because now we're on the front side of the fabric. Just want to make sure that those are nice and a little bit loose so that the work doesn't start to curl up on you or cup. And then we'll have 4 regular stitches, so you can see that's where these 4 are going to go. 1, 2. So for me, the front post stitches are easier than the back post stitches, so this is, you know, a super easy row. All right, and now we do 4 post stitches. Okay, so you can go ahead and finish these off. Let's zoom out here and look at the full picture. So we're going to you're going to finish off these 4 front post, 4 regular, 4 front post, 4 regular, 4 front post, and then at the end you're going to have 3 regular double crochet. So I'll meet you down here. Okay, so there we go. We finished row 6. 1, 2. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we finished row 6. And now we're going to flip over and start working on the back side. So now we've given these a chance to straighten out, and now we're going to start to pull them back apart. Okay, so just a few more. Okay, so now I've finished off row 6, and we're going to start row 7 here in just a second. So you can see now that we've got 2 of these rows that have been you know, easy keeping them straight. So now we're going to go ahead and start breaking those ripples up and making them curve back in the other direction. So right now they kind of look like wishbones, but now we're going to go ahead and we'll be starting on this row here where they start to shift back to the other position. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn our work. Then we'll yarn over, pull loop up, wrap it around, insert your hook through the front and the back loop, pull over, you'll have 3 on, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's the chainless standing double crochet, and like I've said before, you can replace that with the chain 3 if you'd like. Okay, so next we're going to do a normal double crochet, and then we're going to start getting back into those post stitches. So they are behind us now, so this row is all back posts. We're going to skip this stitch, and we're going to do a back post on the next one so that we can start to pull this ripple towards us. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull the loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then on the same thing on the next one, the next cable there. So grab that, go all the way around the post, yarn over, pull the loop up, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay. So now you can see from this view, we've got the 4 post stitches here. What we're going to do now is we're going to put a double crochet in the middle 2. So we're going to go a double crochet here and a double crochet here. So we did just use this stitch here for a post stitch, and now we're going to go into the V. We're going to go into the loops. So just 2 standard double crochets. So front loop, back loop right here. So we're using that column. If you think of them as columns, we're using that column twice. Or we're using that stitch twice. Okay, let me show you from the other side. So once we start going, that's going to start to pull this cable that way. Okay, because we're adding something here. So these double crochets will start to pull that out. Plus we've got that skip stitch there. Okay, and then we're going to go back in and we're going to do 2 post stitches on these cables to get this ripple going that way. Okay, so 2 back. So we already used this column or this stitch for just a regular double crochet, but now we're going to go down to the post and we're going to do 2 post stitches here. 1 and 2. Okay, so you can see there we've got starting to split nicely. Then we're going to skip this next stitch here so that we continue to pull this over, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the middle of these 4. So we're going to skip this one like I just said, and we're going to do double crochets on these two in the middle here. So double crochet into the middle, and then we're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to go ahead and go back to those cables, and we're going to start to pull them this way. So we skip one and go to this cable down here. We're going to do the back cables or back post stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook. Now you might notice, depending on which way I want the hook, the post stitches to start to curve, I do insert my hook from opposing sides. So when I'm pulling them this way, I'm going to be inserting my hook from this way to that way, from right to left. Okay, so I'm doing right to left if I'm pulling the cables this way. So I've got two cables, then I'm going to insert the 2 double crochets into the middle. So you can see here we've got those 4 post stitches. I'm going to put 2 double crochets on the middle of those. This is going to start to create that valley and start to push the cables apart from each other. Okay, and now that I'm wanting the cables to turn in the other direction, so last time, as I said before, when I was doing these 2 stitches, I inserted my hook from right to left, and now on this side of the cable, I'm going to insert from left to right. So let's yarn over, insert our hook, and the reason why I'm saying left to right is if you're going, it's kind of hard to catch on camera, but I'm going from the left of the stitch to the right of the stitch. So I'm inserting around that post there like that. And I'll do that again on this second one. And that just kind of helps I'll do one wrong, just so you can see. It doesn't really look bad. Just kind of changes the way that the stitches twist a little bit. So I think it's a little bit easier if you can see here how these loops are kind of facing each other. They're like opposing, like mirror images. So I kind of feel that looks kind of cool for the when you're pushing the stitches apart like that. Whereas here you can see it doesn't look, this one isn't really a mirror image to these other ones here. It looks a little bit different. So let me take that stitch out and I'll do it what I'm talking about. Now, if this is kind of confusing you, it's okay. Your work will still turn out great if you don't do this. All right, so I'm going to go from the left of the stitch to the right of the stitch. So this is kind of similar to the rows that we've done in the beginning, where this was similar to row 3 that we did, but it is a little bit different just because there's not the same, because there's an odd number of waves. So this is similar, the concept here is similar, but the patterns, if you're reading it from a pattern, it's gonna go a little bit different. So because of the amount of, or the width of this piece, I can't, like, it actually has like an 11 row before you start to repeat, which is a little bit long for a video, but I think that the concept of it is actually okay. So we did the 2 double crochets in the middle of that set of 4, and now we're going to go ahead and skip this next stitch and pull the cables. So we're just doing what we did before. So I'll let you finish this up by repeating what we just did. So, and then we'll put the 2 double crochets in, and then we'll pull the cables out the other way. So I'll put the directions on the screen for what you should be doing next, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. Oops. Now we're at the end of this row, and the repeat isn't continuing, so I wanted to make sure and do this with you. So we're going to grab those last, so we have 2 double crochet here, and then we're going to skip one and go into those last cables and pull them this way. So we're going to start to make that curve back the other direction. So 2 cable stitches here on those cables. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this last cable stitch, we're going to use it twice. So we already used it for the cable, and now we're going to go ahead and use it again for another double crochet into the same stitch. So go ahead and go back into there for another double crochet, because we're trying to push that back this way. So we want to stuff things in here so they all push each other over. And then we're going to do a double crochet into the top of our turning chain, or our turning stitch, depending on how you did that. There you go. And that's row 8, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no, that was row 7. All right, let me just flatten this guy out a little bit. So now you can see, I guess you can call these little teardrop or something shapes are gonna start to form up. So this next row, we're gonna skip these stitches and pull the cables together here. The cables will be pushed all the way apart, the cables will be touching, cables all the way apart, cables touching, etc. Okay, and this is a front post row only. So we'll start this out with a chainless knitting double crochet or a chain 3, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, then we're gonna do 2 double crochets. We're gonna do one here and one here. And then into the top of this post. Okay, and now we're going to do cables here. So we're going to do 2 cables, and then we're going to skip these 2, and we're going to do the other 2 cables. So I'm going to insert from this side to this side, because we want to pull the cables inwards. Sorry about that, I have another headset here that's getting mixed up in my yarn. Okay. Okay, so now we're pulling this. You can start to see how that's getting pulled in. We're going to skip the 2 middle, like I just said, and finish pulling this cable around. Right. And another cable stitch. And now we're going to do 4 regular stitches, and we're going to use this stitch again. So we're going to want to keep pushing these apart, so we're going to add more stitches in than were in the previous row. So we're going to do 4 here. So these are the 4 that we're going to do. We're going to go into the top of the stitch we just used, the next 2 stitches, and into the top of that next post stitch. So we'll do 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, and then we're going to do 2 post stitches to start and pull this cable. Is going to follow in the curve that way. Just a minute, Robbie. Sorry. So we're going to do a front post stitch. Okay. And just like before, on the last time, we're going to start to repeat what we did here. So you're going to skip these 2 and do 2 cables. Then you're going to go ahead and put 4 double crochets in here. And then 2 cables, skip the middle 2, and do another 2 cable stitches. Then you'll squish 4 double crochets in here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then do 2 cables. And then we'll end with only a single double crochet into our turning chain. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end of the row to review what I just said. Okay, so I just finished off row 8 with you. So just to kind of review where we left off, we have the 4 double crochets in between the ripples there to stretch them out. And then we do the 4 post double crochets, and we skip those stitches to really pinch them together. So hopefully you're starting to get that concept of know where the ripple is going to go next and what stitches you should do in order to get that ripple to move. So if you're noticing here, these are starting to be a little bit shorter than the normal double crochets. So my tension's probably a little bit tight right now on the post stitches. So just really make sure that your post stitches are loose and you're pulling up far in order to get those post stitches to be long enough to cover that extra dip down that they have to cover. Okay, so let's go ahead. Sometimes my tension gets a little bit tight when I'm filming. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on row 10. And row 10 is going to be one of those easy rows. after we do the first 3 stitches, it'll be easy peasy. All right, so let's go ahead and do the first 3 together, and then I'll tell you what to do for the rest of the row. So we're going to do that chainless knitting double crochet again, or your chain 3, whatever you're comfortable with. So I pull that up to the height of a double crochet, wrap it around, insert through that front and back loop, yarn over, pull the loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There we go. And then we're going to do, you can see the next thing I've got here is these back posts. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 back post stitches. And like I was just mentioning before, oops, make sure that you pull up nice and high on that first pull through to make sure that your stitches are growing at the right, to make sure your fabric is growing at a consistent rate all the way across. All right, so we did those first 3 stitches, so either the chainless knitting double crochet or a chain 3 and then 2 back post stitches. And then the rest of this row is the super easy row where we just do 4 regular stitches on top of all the regular stitches, and then 4 of the back post stitches on top of the post stitches. Okay, and you just continue that all the way across, and then you end with 3 double crochets in the end. So I'll go ahead and finish that off with you, and I'll meet you at the end. Just a reminder that the pattern for this is available on my blog. So if you're starting to get the concept of this and you're ready to go on your own, definitely you can do that. Check out the link in the description. We'll have the instructions for the pattern. It also has a video tutorial, or no, I'm sorry, not a video, some photos, some still frame photos when I was creating the two-toned sample in the back. It might help you. I wanted to do it two-tone to make sure that the pictures were clear, so you could see what was going on and you could really tell the difference between a post stitch and the regular stitches. So I got 3 post stitches there. And then if you want to see how I did that two-tone color, I'll do that with you in a few rows. So that'll be at the end of this video. So go ahead and finish up this row and I'll meet you at the other side. So here we are at the end of row 9. So we've got the double crochets on top of the regular double crochets and the post stitches all on top of the post stitches. No skipping, no doubles for the whole row. You can always double check and make sure you have the right number of stitches. You should always have 30 stitches. There's no skipping or losing stitches in this. Each row will have 30. Okay, and now that was row 9, so now we're going to start row 10. All right, so let's turn her over, and this is that easy row again. Okay, so we're going to start with that chainless knitting double crochet and do 3, so we'll do the chainless knitting double crochet or the chain 3, whatever you're comfortable with. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets. And then the rest of this row is all going to just be copying the stitch that you're going on to. So here we have the post stitches, so we'll do 4 front post stitches. Here we have 4 double crochets, so we'll do 4 double crochets, then 4 post stitches, and so on. And then you'll end with 2 post stitches and then a double crochet at the end. So I'll meet you at the end of row 10. Okay, so there we have the end of row 10. You can tell those last 2 rows I really was trying to be careful with my tension, and you can see that it's starting to straighten out again. So just make sure that you're pulling up nice and tall on those post stitches to get the tension right, so that your fabric grows in an even manner. Okay, so now the next row, which would be row 11, is actually going to be copying row 3. So if you see here from the bottom 1, 2, 3, this row here where the ripples start to come back together, that's exactly what we're going to want to happen here. So the pattern, now you know everything you need to know. So the pattern will be repeating from row 3. So go ahead and do rows 3 through 10 again until you get to the height that you want. Let me see, I don't remember how many rows I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's easier to count from the back. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I ended up doing 13 rows was how many I needed. But because everybody crochets differently, you're going to need a different amount for all of your beautiful, oh, I'm not zoomed out enough, for all of your beautiful squares to match up. Okay, so just go ahead and do however many rows you need. All right, so that's actually, I'm coming back now because the video was getting too long. So if you want to learn how to do this in 2 colors, I'm going to be uploading a separate video, and I will just be calling it color changes with post stitches or cable stitches or something like that. So if you want to learn how to do this in the 2 colors, make sure to check out my next video where I'll be showing you how to do that. It's more of like a technique thing and less of like a pattern thing. So it'll work out in my next video. So if there's any questions that you guys have on just a single color or on the double color, go ahead and comment down below or let me know. In the video description, I will be putting all of my links to the other social media platforms where you can follow me there, and also on Facebook or Instagram are great places to send me photos if you need help with any specific stitches or parts of the pattern. Make sure to check out my blog where I have the written pattern for this included and all of the information for the crochet long blanket. I hope you enjoyed this stitch, and I'll see you next time. If anybody asks where I am, just tell them she's stitching.